Good morning, wherever you are joining us. This is the final take with me, Seni MK Marina. Today in the studio, we have a special guest, Mr. Demba Sise, the Director General of the Gambia Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Mr. Sise has been at the helm of affairs of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency for the past 2 years. We will be talking about the Gambia's drug war. Are we winning, losing, or just surviving? We'll also bring you data and the efforts the agency is doing to control drug usage and trafficking in the Gambia. We'll take a quick break. When we are back, we will bring our special guest, Mr. Sise. This is his first major online interview, and we appreciate him for joining us live from Banjul to discuss this important topic.
Tune into the final take with MK Mariner every Saturday on the Alcamba Times and experience extensive conversations on a variety of topics, including national and international headlines, breaking issues, and major developments in politics, business, innovation, science, and sports, along with inspiring stories and expert analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the news.
Welcome back. It's a beautiful morning here in our studios in Seattle, Washington State. My special guest today is Honorable Demba Sise, the Director General of Drug Law Enforcement Agency of the Gambia. Mr. Sise, welcome to the final take with me, Seni Marina.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me on this show. I know we've been talking about me coming over here a couple of times, but it didn't materialize. It's today that got the standard. It should happen. Thank you so much for inviting me to your studios.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sise. It's a great pleasure having you on this special edition of the final take with me, Seni Marina. We will go straight to the program, DJ Sise. You took over as the Director General in mid-2024 after previously serving as Administrative Director of the agency 2010 to 2015 and coming from an education background. What was the state of the drug threat when you assumed office, and what immediate priorities did you set?
Thank you very much once again you're right. I was here before for 5 years. And you are right, I have an education background. I was a teacher for many years. Then in 2010, has it that I have to work here. I came here for a couple of years. I was here as Director of Administration for 5 years, 2010 and 2015. Then about 2 years ago, like you rightly mentioned, in July 2024, I was again appointed as the Director General of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. We call it here the League. Yes, when I took over, the issues of drugs in this country, just like in the sub-region, the threats were drug abuse and drug trafficking has been almost as old as the mountains in our sub-regions. That's what I found, and I found my predecessor doing very well on it, and his predecessors, the couple of directors before him. So when I took over, I had to look at the trajectory, and the trajectory was that, yes, we had a large youth population, which is a recipe for drug anywhere in the world. So I had to look at that seriously with my team. And we also understand that that was not peculiar to the Gambia. Drug abuse was not, and still not, and will not be peculiar to the Gambia. But that was what I found, and that's what I had to face head on with my team. And alhamdulillah, I cannot say there's no way we can wipe out drugs in this country 100%. But like I say, authoritatively, we are doing our utmost best to address the situation as regards both trafficking and abuse.
Okay. But looking back at your past 2 years under your leadership, what concrete step or changes in strategy, structure, or culture have you introduced at the agency?
Yes. Not much new introduction, but sort of reinforcing what was here. One of the few things I looked at when I came was to look at our intelligence statistics, and I saw that many youths are involved in drug. So I also found out that, like other sub-regional countries here, the issue of drugs is very complicated, and you need a highly professional staff to address it. So my first couple of months, I was basically more concerned about staff matters, professional matters, staff morale, because the staff. It's not me who have to go to the street, it's the staff. So basically, I did a review with my team, a review of the staffing of the agency, a review of the posting and deployment of the agency, vis-a-vis what is happening in our inner cities, in our borders. So I tried to address the complex nature of trafficking and abuse in our inner cities, and also looking at the borders. We will come to that perhaps. I know Kush is
yeah. We have a lot of.
We also look at how our borders. How can we work? We also with our other counterparts, because Dili is not the only one fighting drugs. We are the mandated institution, but other services are also in the fray. So I also look at how we can work with the other services to tackle the issue of drug heads on us as a combined security infrastructure in this country.
Absolutely. Mr. Cisse, we have a lot to discuss, but before we go further, there is this latest news about your agency conducting a raid in Kersering, and then resulting in the death of one Mr. Jallo, who is a Senegalese content creator. What is the agency official position on the circumstances of Mr. Jallo's death, and will the agency support or facilitate an independent autopsy and a transparent investigation to address the family concern and clear any public doubt about the conduct of your officers?
Thank you. Yes, you're right. The incident, I will not go deep into perhaps the death, but I can talk about the circumstances, but because the matter is not with us. Okay. And now, as I speak, so I wouldn't delve. But what I can tell you, yes, that was after on a Saturday night. There was an operation by our agents in Kersering area. I've seen a lot of media information on that, but incidentally, you are the first person to ask me this. Many of the things I see online are reported by journalists who have not spoken to the agency, which I think is a little problematic, but I understand their situation. I don't want to blame anybody. I think they are concerned citizens. They have the right to speculate and also right to report what they know. But what I can tell you authoritatively, yes, there was an incident where our officers went to a particular residence upon very credible intelligence.
At Lobo, the incident happened at Lobo apartment in Kersering.
Yes, it happened at Lobo residence. It's a lodge. So our officers went there, very credible information. That's why we recovered drugs in the house. So the information was credible. So they went to the house and found two gentlemen there, young men. We later happened to know they are between the ages of 20 and 21, two of them of Senegalese origin. Yeah. Upon entry of our men, they started searching the premises, beginning where the intel tell them where the drugs are, and they found drugs there. Okay. So I had people saying there were no drugs. I had many stories. I don't want to debate on that. They have their own opinion, but opinion, as strong as it cannot replace facts. So the fact of the matter, so one of them got panicked and jumped through the back door and actually fell down. So they arrested the other one and came down with him. And our driver who was waiting downstairs had a noise, and also the security also had a noise in the background. So they assumed it was the guy. Initially, our guys thought he even fled the scene, only for them to find him seriously wounded. They took him to the hospital, and where he
some media reports said your officers has physical contact with him, either by beating or torturing him. Is that so?
That is far from the truth. But I don't want to talk about that because it's on the police investigation and we are not investigating. What I can tell you is the one we were able to arrest. I can go. He was arrested and he was taken to our stations, and we were about to try him. But the one that was wounded, we took him to the hospital. We know there's an independent investigation. We don't want to talk about something that we are not taking.
So are you cooperating with the police? Because we understand the police have launched an investigation into this matter. Is your officers cooperating with the police to make sure that the truth comes out of this?
Yes, for want of hyperbole, I will say that we are cooperating 110%.
Okay.
Because it's a credible institution. They have been doing this kind of job for the longest time, and we await their investigation. They'll investigate and they will tell us exactly what they found. And we are people who went to the scene, the accused who was arrested after the incident. I believe, I don't know, maybe they'll call him, but we are not investigating. I cannot go deep into that, but I know the police is a very credible investigator. They've done investigation of bigger magnitude than this, and we think they will come out of the best. What we can tell you is what happened. What the media is reporting, without even talking to me, as you are saying, you are the first to ask me. Ask me, there are journalists in this country who have written about this case. None of them have ever even called me. None of them have called this agency to find out what happened. We are open to the media, not only us, law enforcement in this country generally. I can speak even on behalf of my other colleagues. We are very friendly and open to the media. If this kind of things happen, I would expect somebody to call here. This is what happens. What is your take? We have had this from neighbors. Everybody was there. Nothing was hidden in this day and age. Actually, you cannot even hide anything. Yeah. So we have nothing to hide here. Our doors are open. People can call me. People can even walk to our office here. Nobody has called delete. Nobody has come to our premises. Nobody has gone to ask questions. We just saw the publication, and we cannot say no to their publication. They know what they know. Let them supply it to the police who are investigating the matter.
DG, critics will argue that some of your officers are not well trained and professional in terms of conducting arrests, and how professional and trained are your men in execution of their duty as narco agents, anti-drug agents?
Yeah, it boils down to what I told you about opinion. People have a right to opinion, but opinions and facts are different. Our officers, just like any other law enforcement in this country, are trained. Yes, we may have few inadequacies here and there. Go to any field of life. go to health, go to education, go to agriculture, go to journalism. Some of your journalists, I have even known journalists here who have not finished grade 9. So it happens. We may have officers, 1 or 2 or 3, or I cannot quantify, who may go with outside the ambit of the law occasionally, and if that happens, as a management, we take care of that. We know what we have done with our men, even before with my predecessor. We know in the spirit of the security sector reform, what law enforcement in this country are doing in terms of capacity and in terms of training on human rights, how the issues related to law of engagement, how force, particularly proportionate and credible, can be used, how you cannot do anything outside the ambit of the law, and if you do, us here at Delete, I don't want to spill the beans on what we did on some of our men or women who have been found wanting in terms of trying to breach the code of conduct of the agency, particularly with their dealings with the community. Because after all, these are the communities we serve. You cannot brutalize people. You cannot terrify people if they're the one we are serving. So the opinion of our men and women may not be professional. I think that is highly exaggerated. We have
but DG, what you said, you have an internal disciplinary mechanism in place when officers who are accused of misconduct are, brought before and then investigated, right?
Absolutely, we do. We have a professional and human rights standard unit, which is responsible for staff professional issues, and we have our working tools. We have our staff service rule. We have our code of conduct. Of course, we have the Constitution of the Gambia. Everybody knows at least the basic law. Even if you are not law enforcement, you know what you are supposed to do and not supposed to do. So if our staff are found wanting, which on a case by case it has happened, we have disciplinary measures, which includes include even termination. And since I took over, we have terminated staff here due to professional issues. And it's not only the league; it's law enforcement general in this country. We are trying to be as professional as possible, but we are also asking people to come up if they know of any violations that they can report credibly. We have situations where people make accusations. They know our office. They know my PRO. They know nobody sends an official complaint, but we see them in the media. We cannot contest it. And this is freedom. Of course, we know what happened in this country from 2016 to now. The freedoms we are enjoying, which is good. But then we are here to be contacted. Contact us for verification. We will be there. If professional misconduct issues, report it formally, and we will investigate it. And it's not only us. That's across the security infrastructure in this country, I believe.
Okay. Okay, DJ, before we move from this matter, because this matter is currently before police investigations, and you don't want to comment on it very
Definitely
much.
not,
But
yeah.
can you assure the family of Kalilu Jallo that the investigations will be impartial, and then if your officers are found wanting, the law will take its course?
Definitely. The first, we have to send condolence to the family, because a life is lost. Naturally, I don't think anybody takes solace in seeing a young boy in his 20s losing their life. It's unfortunate. It's regrettable. Nobody likes it. It's nothing to do with being Senegalese or Gambian. But we all mourn him, definitely, even here at the league and all over the country, a young person enterprising perhaps. But in terms of the investigation, we know, not even, we are 100% sure the police will do a great job in it. They have all the potential. They have done even investigation on matters perhaps of a high scale than this. Our officers will cooperate with investigators. They have been cooperating. That's an instruction. They have been cooperating, and whatever come out of that investigation, if it vindicates us, be it so shall it be. But if it incriminates any staff, we cannot even hide about it. The report is a public document. There's no way we could say somebody has not done X when the report says he has. And if that happens, we have our measures for disciplinary breaches, and those measures will be taken care of.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for those joining in right now. This is the final take with me, Seni Marina. In the studio today is a special guest, the Director General of the Gambia Drug Law Enforcement Agency, speaking to me live from Banjul in his office in Banjul. Mr. Cisse, let's look at the data, CISO's arrests and trends in drug issues in the Gambia. In 2024, your agency recorded at least 1,208 drug cases and 1,219 arrests, with a notable increase in interdictions in second half of the year and a sharp rise in successful prosecution. Can you update us on the trajectory into 2025 and 2026? Are these CISOs and arrests still rising? And what does that tell us about the scale of the problem, the drug use in the Gambia? Because we have seen there is a rise in young people, into drug abuse right now.
Yes, yes. The statistics are there, and figures, numbers don't lie naturally. If you look at 2020, I came in middle of 2025, and when we did some serious deployment and transfers, particularly across the borders, it immediately paid off. Interdiction levels rose up, almost skyrocketed between August 2024 and December 2025. That was why the interdiction levels were very high. And I also came at a time when coups was hitting the roof in the sub-region, particularly between Sierra Leone and the Gambia. So the interdiction of coups even was a contribution factor to the high numbers in 2024 and going to 25. But when we address coups, of course, other drugs like cannabis, which has been here for the longest time, when we address coups, we saw that interdiction levels were going down slightly. And the figures, you are right, there were more seizures in the second half of 2025, heading towards 2024, heading to 2025, to the extent that the statistics started go down when we I won't say it's 100% successful, but when we address the issue of influx of coups from our borders, and we remain with our traditional cannabis, which has been here, we are also addressing. But statistics-wise, the figures have gone down. Abuse-wise, you are right. There's a lot of abuse across the sub-region, not only a Gambian thing. We don't want We don't want to assume that it's a Gambian phenomenon. And that has to be clear. It's a sub-regional, it's a global phenomenon, which we are trying to address with some challenges here there, and we are trying to use our resources to make sure we minimize abuse, minimize trafficking to the bare minimum.
DG, there was, I would say, Gambia nearly declare a state of emergency or national emergency because we have seen some deaths related to the consumption of coos, which is a very hard drug that is coming through the Gambia from our neighboring countries like Liberia, Sierra Leone. Can you give us an update about the use of coos substance in the country? Because we have not had recently the deaths and number of people who have been arrested with this dangerous substance. We know cannabis sativa remain the most commonly seized substance. Are we also seeing a significant volume of cocaine, MDMA, methamphetamine, and coos, like I said? What is the state of their data right now?
Yeah, coos, for example, coos is a case of a success story that no journalist in this country is reporting. That's the problem. So and I'm not trying to blame any journalist, but I would expect them when the story is gloomy, like the incident of last week, they report it. Nobody's trying to censor that. But when the story is flashy and successful, they should also come and tap us in the back, not only delete, even other law enforcement. Coups, for example.
So that's why I'm asking him, because we have not had news about coups unlike early last year or mid last year.
That is why I'm telling you, coups is a successful story. When I took over 18th of July 2024, coups interdiction, coups hospitalization was hitting the roof in this country. No disrespect to my predecessor, but it was a sub-regional crisis.
Sierra Leone, absolutely. Sierra Leone, Liberia, Gambia,
my predecessor and team were doing very well. But when I took over, one of the first things we did with my team is we know where the problems start. We know first it's entering from Sierra Leone through Senegal. We know that. Yeah. So one thing we did, we deliberately said, okay, let's ramp up our operation across the border. And if you check 2024, there were 57 Sierra Leoneans arrested in this country. Between May to a month or so before I came, up to November, December, 57 Sierra Leoneans, nearly all of them on coups. So we know the coups is from Sierra Leone. No disrespect to them as a nation, but that's where it originated from. We know one way of fixing coups is fixing the border, because it's not like cannabis. It wasn't produced here. So we work with other services like the police, the immigration, because we are not the only one in the border. We have to make that clear. We work with other law enforcement to make sure that coups doesn't come in the country. If you go to 2025, we had 13 Sierra Leoneans arrested this following year, the whole of 2025. From 57 in 2024 to 13 in 2025, now between January and June, 7 Sierra Leoneans. So from 57 to 13 to 7, it means the people bringing coups here, they know if they come here, they'll be caught. So they are not bringing.
So Didi, you want to say that the source of coups importation in the Gambia is mostly conducted by foreign nationals, and these are Sierra Leonean from record.
That's definite. Yes, that's definite, because the arrest, because these are from the figures. Figures don't lie. When we arrest people, they tell us where they come from. So even if you look at our intelligence statistics, in 2024, July to December, our statistics was 10 to 15 coups interdiction per week.
Wow.
2024, second half of 2024, 10 to 15 coups interdiction per week. If you go to the hospital, we don't have the hospital data, but we also understand hospitalization related to coups was almost hitting the roof in 2024. Yeah. But as we move to 2025, as we strengthen our operations across the borders and in the busiest districts, particularly around the TDA, Coos interdiction went down. Correspondingly, we understand we have no statistics, but Coos hospitalization also went down. As I speak to you now, our Coos interdiction is between 2 to 4 per week, sometimes even 0 per week. So we know that Coos has been reduced to the bare minimum. We are not complacent. We are not saying we have won any war on Coos, but we know Coos interdiction, Coos statistics, and correspondingly Coos hospitalization and death are also, it has been addressed. And there's also a national task force on substance abuse who used to engage DILIC, and they comprise of the Minister of Health plus all the other services. They used to come here on sensitization on Coos. For the past 15 months, we have not even had them. So we assume it is not a big issue to their task force. So I can say authoritatively, at least we have addressed the issue of Coos to a situation. That doesn't mean there is no drug abuse in this country. I'm not trying to say, give ourselves a clean sheet, but I can tell about Coos where I can say we have addressed it to a standard that is somehow understandable.
Okay, DG, you talk about not having hospital data on the number of people being admitted or killed by this very dangerous substance called the Coos. Don't you think without a data, it will be hard for you to be more successful in your fight against this deadly drug?
Yes, you are right. You are right. We work with the Minister of Health a lot. Yeah, you are right. The issue of data is helpful. In fact, we are about to conduct a survey on studies on this, including we have a whole directorate we call DDR, Drug Demand Reduction, Media and Advocacy, and they work with partners like Minister of Health, and they will also work with the hospitals. Yes, but before, even without data, we used to be alerted by families and community members who will call our public relations office in their neighborhoods, in their homes, asking us to come. There's somebody who has Coos issues, and sometimes some of the families, no disrespect anyway, sometimes they wouldn't even know what kind of drug these kids are having problem with. They will say Coos, and we have a unit here, we have a scientific unit here. We'll try to work with families, but you are right. We will ramp up our cooperation, our collaboration with the Ministry of Health to get data. There's no excuse about it. Data informs decision, informs policy, and it will help us to understand the trajectory and as to our readiness towards perhaps an outbreak, because we are not even saying Coos has been conquered in the sub-region. We know it can surge again, and we don't want to become complacent or caught unawares.
Absolutely. DG, Gambia is frequently described as both a consumer market and a transit corridor, especially for cocaine heading towards Europe. How accurate is that assessment today, and how has the nature of trafficking network evolved in the Gambia and the sub-region? Because Gambia has been used as a hub for cocaine trafficking. DG, if you remember, during the former regime, Yahya Jammeh's time, some South Americans were caught with millions, street value of cocaine. Later, they were jailed, some were released, some died in prison. And we have seen that trend. Recently, we have seen your officers raiding nightclubs where some big men were arrested. If cocaine still passing through Gambia to Europe.
Yeah, cocaine is. Maren, you are speaking as if it's the sub-region. It's not Gambia alone.
Yeah, but they are using Gambia as a transit. They are using Gambia as a transit, to go to Europe.
They are using the sub-region as a transit. I would rather look at the bigger picture than come back to the Gambia. It's the sub-region that has been, for the longest time, been used as a transit for hard drugs to Europe. And that's what every drug agency in the sub-region is trying to grapple with. We cannot say, no, it's not passing through here. That would be a lie. But what we can do is to be alert. And that's why we even call the community for support, for people to give information. Where we can, we will interdict. Like you talk about the 2010 CISO case.
CISO, yeah, of cocaine,
10. Of cocaine in Bonto. People built a warehouse. Built a warehouse. And tons of cocaine. No community member reported it. So the community will perhaps come to the issue of how we want the community to support us. They are doing it, but we want them to support even more, because cocaine trafficking can only thrive when there's no information. If there's information, it won't thrive. And we've been used in the sub-region, and we know it's real, it's not fiction, but we are also alert. Where we know it's happening, we interdict. We do as much as possible to interdict. That's why cocaine has been interdicted here in 2010, in 2021, and in last seasons I'm talking about in 2022. So all this interdiction are contingent on information. Sometimes based on our own work and expertise. Sometimes craving on the support and cooperation of members of the community. And that's where we think we can win the war on trafficking if we get the support that we really need. And it's happening,
but
we need more.
these drug traffickers, especially those that traffic in hard drug like cocaine, they're very powerful, they're very wealthy. How do you work with the community to ensure that they report cases of suspected drug trafficking and stop? Have you been successful in that, or there is a mistrust between the community and your agency?
How we work with them, we have a modus operandi, which which we cannot perhaps go in detail here, but we do know that all over the world, including Gambia here in the sub-region, all major seizures have to do with either intel or with community networks that provide information. So we know there are certain circumstances we are saying where drug barons can be powerful and very difficult to deal with in terms of what they do, in terms of how they can entice people who are supposed to report them to law enforcement. But then we also understand that, for example, if in West Africa here, there is the belief that the shorelines are used for cocaine disembankment. And in these shorelines, we have fishing communities, we have farming communities. We are not saying they are complicit, but we are saying they could do more by working with us if we are truly to succeed. We are also blaming them. Perhaps we have to engage them even more than we are doing now in order to be able to surmount the problem of cocaine trafficking. But yes, you are right, it's real. And we are working with other law enforcement in the country and with also other law enforcement in the sub-region by way of trying to track them down if we can. And we have successfully done that in the past. That's why we had these large seizures happening, perhaps not my time, but in my predecessor's time and in 2020. It's 2020.
Because DG, why I ask you, when you look at the success rate of drug prosecution, especially cocaine and hard drug, is very low. Many a times critics will say, drug cases take a lot of years in court. In the case of the 2020 drug bust at the seaport involving one Gambian named Banta Keita and his partners, it took like 5-7 years, and until recently when the case was concluded, and even people are skeptical about that particular case. Can you bring us to speed about that particular case?
Unfortunately, no, because that case is, like I said, we understand as an agency, there was an appeal on that judgment. And in the light of that ongoing appeal, I would not want to comment on the matter.
Okay, that's fine. You have the right to not to comment on any matter that is before the court. I humbly respect your opinion on that. DG, your figure shows that roughly 90% of arrestees in 2024 and 5 were Gambians, and a large majority of those involved in possession cases were young people between the ages of 18 and 35. Why are so many of our own youth becoming users and low-level dealers? And what does that mean for the future of our country, which is predominantly a youthful country?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a really concerning thing. You are right. The majority of our arrestees, for example, in terms of the numbers first, about 80% of 24 and 25, and even now, first half of this year, between 83 to 85 of the people that we arrest with drugs are Gambians in the first place. So for the most part, only 16% are non-Gambians. And then when you look at the Gambian population itself, the RST population of Gambians, you are right about it's 86, close to 90 you said, but it's about 86 to 88% within the age bracket of 18 to 35. And that is the cream of our society. And that's why I agree with you entirely. It's concerning, but we also have to put that into a global context. If you look at even the global context, the global statistics itself, even in our sub-regional statistics, that's even the figure. So it's just to show you, it's not exclusively a Gambian issue. It's a more of a regional, and the reason is because we have a large youth population. If you look at our census, 2020, the last census, if you look at the age bracket between 17 and 45, that's the largest chunk of our population, and this is the most active population. And the youthful population, we understand, perhaps psychologists know this more than me. We know how they want to explore, how they're active, they want to find out the things, and there are also pressure, peer pressure, mate pressure all over. So the contributing factors to youth using drugs are enormous, and consequently they infringe the law, and we have no option but to arrest them. But luckily, we can say we are trying to look at the trajectory also. We are trying to emphasize a lot on advocacy than on supply suppression. So because most Gambians think of our job as just being there to arrest people, and that's just half of our job. The other half is actually working with people, engaging people, educating people, and helping them help themselves to understand the menace posed by drugs. But we are right, youths and drugs is a problem. Globally, there's the same statistics, about 80 something to 90 are within that age bracket. So, and we are within a regional context, within a global context. You cannot expunge us out of that bracket because of the youth.
But DG, when you look at drug abuse all over the world, even in America here, we have there is a war on drug right now. The U.S. government is blocking the southern border. Going for the cartels all the way in South America, in Peru, in Guatemala, in Colombia, because that's where the supply come in. And a lot of Americans now are into methamphetamine, into fentanyl. Is Gambia seeing a rise in those kind of drug like fentanyl and then methamphetamine?
No. Methamphetamine, we have methamphetamine here. We have since I came, I even my
previous. Do you have a data on that?
We have no fentanyl interdiction since I took over. And when I look at previous statistics, there's no in West Africa here. I don't want to mention countries, but 1 or 2 countries are having an issue with fentanyl. We have not had any fentanyl arresting, but we have methamphetamine arrest here. Those are amphetamine stimulant type, like ecstasy. Ecstasy is an emerging in the sub-region. In the sub-region, is emerging as a problematic drug. And in the Gambia here, if you look at 2023, we had about, if you look at our statistics.
I saw your data when your PRO share those information. It's very concerning that we have over 400,000 pills that were, seized from dealers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because ecstasy itself is very attractive to the sub-region. The bigger cities in the sub-region have the biggest market for it. For example, the ones that come in the Gambia here, yes, there's a limited use of ecstasy in the Gambia. We have made few interdictions where arrestees could potentially be using it. But the ecstasy that comes to the Gambia is also meant for the sub-region where it costs higher. So, but then the influx is real in the sub-region, and we are trying to address it by working with our partners in Europe and in the Asian subcontinent where we believe it is coming from. And it's perhaps now it is almost second to cannabis now.
Okay. DG, there is a lot of factors that push young people into drug abuse. In your view, what are these factors from your work in terms of suppressing drug? What are the factors that are pushing our young people? Because drug abuse is so rampant in the Gambia right now. A lot of our young people are into drug abuse. Others might say, it's because of lack of employment opportunities. Will you agree with that?
No, no, no. And I also disagree with the word rampant, perhaps. I think rampant is perhaps it's a bit ungenerous to us. I think it's some
Yeah, because
fairly
a lot of
widespread
young
abuse.
people, we
Yeah,
see
but
reports.
also, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you are right. I agree with you, but it's not as rampant as reported. But it's
Yeah.
it's it's fairly widespread in certain quarters, and youths onto it. We know there are so many factors. One of them is actually ignorance, is well, because there are, you see, about 40 globally. There's a statistic that about nearly 40% of youths think that cannabis is not harmful. For example, perception is there, ignorance is there. They think it helps you, it brightens you up, it makes you sharper, it makes you pass exams, it makes you a smart guy. Some have
Yeah,
that
you
feeling.
you and you and you and I both went to Amite, so we know something
Exactly.
about cannabis.
Exactly. So we never no many years ago nobody most people who work in the drug agency here saw
Yeah.
cannabis seed when they started working here. Most of us, and I know many adults in this country, your mates, and even people have never. But now we have situations where even schools call us to say there's a cannabis plant behind my school garden. Can you
Wow.
come? Maybe somebody threw the seeds there. But it's not as widespread as people are saying, but it's there. But that's why the league is also here. That's why law enforcement is also here, because we know it's real. We know the youth are attracted to it. We know there's some little ignorance. We know there's also peer pressure. Unemployment, I don't think is an excuse for taking drugs. You don't get drugs by you don't get a job by taking drugs, because perhaps if that is your excuse, I'm taking cannabis because I have no job. Nobody takes drugs because they
Yeah,
have no job.
but
Of
DG,
course, of course, of course, of course,
if
the
we
issue
are
of idleness.
productive, yeah,
Mhm,
DG, if we are productive like me and you, we will not
mhm.
have time to indulge into drugs. So that's why
Absolutely, you're right.
people
Mhm,
frame, laziness or lack of productivity, to
mhm,
drug abuse. Because if we are
mhm,
sitting every day without work, and
mhm.
then drugs are available, you will actually, go into drugs.
Yeah, I understand. But in the states where employment is perhaps one of the highest in the world, people use drugs a lot more
Yeah,
than us.
right.
Even in
Yes.
Japan, even the most industrialized countries. So I there might be a little nexus between employment and drugs. I agree. I'm not going to disagree with that. Yes, if like the old saying, the idle man is the devil's workshop. If you
Yeah.
are sitting, you're not doing anything, perhaps
Yeah.
it's easier to lure you into something illicit than if you are doing something else. That one is incontestable. I agree with that. But then the issue of neglect, we have even seen families. Of course, we cannot blame them, but because the drugs for us here, we have perhaps I will talk about that later.
Mhm.
We have a situation where we are not trying to blame youths. Some of the youth who are using drugs, we think they might not be they are just victims, and we have to be very careful to separate between the victim and the perpetrator. So we want to support those who are into drugs. We want to make sure that we and their families can work together to see how we can get them out of drugs. And of course, you are right, employment is part of it. And in the
Yeah.
amendment bill that we submitted, we have
Mm.
created something where we can do some skill training for people that we think we can help to recover. So maybe
Absolutely.
job skill creation can also solve part of
And
the
also
problem, but it's not the full problem.
reintegration. Instead of sending young people to prison, you provide
Mhm.
something for them.
Yeah, yes. In yes, in if in the okay, in the Drug Control Act, at the moment, for example, if somebody is arrested with drugs, for example, the magistrate has less discretion, almost two, perhaps, either fine you or give you a custodial sentence. In
So,
the in the in 2000 and in 2014, there was an amendment to the Drug Control Act where people can get lesser fines. And what we did last year is even perhaps more generous, but we only understand it's our responsibility. We
yeah.
we submitted an bill where where we are trying to suggest alternative to incarceration.
Okay.
Where
Perfect.
young people who we believe are victims, not perpetrators, can be treated differently when they commit offenses related to small quantities of common drugs, or when they are first-time offenders. We propose some penal code that will not send them to the prisons. For example, community service. We propose that if it goes through, we will have a situation where perhaps somebody, instead of sending him to mile 2, you can send him to KMC for 8 months, for example. These are proposals that we have made in the new amendment. We don't know if it will go through, but if it goes through, it will show you some of the, it will answer your first question, whether we are winning or not winning, because it will show you that we are trying to address the issue of youth who are victims, who you cannot blame, who you need to support. They need more support than as it obtains now, where there are no discretion on the side of the magistrate to give you something other than custodial or a heavy fine.
Yeah, because why I asked this question is that where I am in the West, in certain places, when you are caught with a joint, they don't send you to jail. Unlike Gambia, where a lot of young people who are caught with small joints are sent into jail. At the end of the day, most of our productive society or young people are all in jail. So I think that new policy document or law that you are trying to review is something that can be very good for young people instead of sending them to jail. DG, one question in terms of production, because cannabis remain one of the most used drugs in the Gambia, and then we have had reports that people are now having cannabis farms. I have seen your PRO giving updates where raids are taking place in cannabis farms in our in our farmyards, and then there is also a community in the Gambia called Jinek. Many people say the agency do not go there, and that place is a hub for cannabis cultivation. How committed it is to ensure that your men are all over the place to ensure that the drug that is illegal should not be cultivated in the Gambia. Is Jinek part and parcel of your area of operation?
Yes, thank you for that. Yes, we have seen a situation where because cannabis, no disrespect to Southern Senegal, traditionally we used to get much. For us, we go on international data. The data we receive that most of the drugs and the cannabis would come from Southern Senegal, but then in the Gambia here, people also have cannabis plantations in their backyards.
Farms. I've seen a lot of it now.
And all over. So we of course, I empathize with the people of Jinak, but they are within the Republic of the Gambia. You cannot tell me somebody has a cannabis farm in Arangalel. Let me go and that cannabis farm. Somebody has a cannabis farm. Let me give him a free pass in the name of that's their source of livelihood. I respect that. If it is their source of their livelihood.
That is the argument. They said that's the source of livelihood, and if we are taking cannabis farming from them, you should at least bring them an alternative source of because they have been doing this since time immemorial. DG.
But DILIC doesn't give them alternatives. DILIC is enforcing the Drug Control Act. And where we see a cannabis plantation, just similar where we see somebody having a cannabis joint. We are not saying that you are having that joint in Banjul, go home. You are having that joint in Brikama, come here. It's the same. The cannabis plantation are the same. A cannabis plantation in the Republic of the Gambia. So whether you are in Jinak, last year we had one in Same Pochonki. No disrespect to Same. We had one even in Fuladu, where I come from. We have one in recently. We had a cannabis farm around Waso. We have some around Fonyi, even in Basse. Not in Basse town, in URA. So for us, we are trying to enforce the Drug Control Act. And in doing so, we cannot be cherry picking. We cannot say, okay, you are in Jinak, you have a free pass. You are in Banjul, you cannot do it. You are in Basse,
but DG, Jinek has always had a free pass. When do you last heard that there was a major raid? I only heard about that raid when this regular migration crisis happened. Smugglers were using Jinek as a launch pad, to take migrants. I understand.
But Mr. Sermane, there's always a force to anything. Are you getting me?
I'm hearing, yes.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, if you know there's a cannabis plantation somewhere in the Gambia, we have our status book, the Drug Control Act, which says you cannot have a cannabis plantation. The issue of livelihood is true, is valid, and we respect it. There's no way you cannot say they cannot live. I have my livelihood, you have no livelihood. But if their livelihood infringes the law that we are supposed to protect as an agency, we cannot cherry pick and say you are in Jinak, you can plant. You are in Sutukoba, or you are in Arangale, or you are in Buyam, you cannot plant. That's our problem. And people, you see, if you have a flat, if you have a law, the law is not pointing at any village or town in this country. The law is saying you can do this, you cannot do this. But the law is not saying you can do this in Nyomi, or you can do this in Fuladu, in Jimara, but you cannot do it in Combo. The law is ignorant it's almost ignorant to geographical location. It says this country. So I don't see any merit of saying you cannot go to Jinak. Of course, we went there. When we went there, I was told no disrespect. Maybe there's a Serer there because Fulas and Serer. Maybe the Serer say the DG Dilik cannot live for more than 2 weeks. Alhamdulillah, I'm 6 months after the operation, so I'm still here.
Yeah, that's the how to call it? That's the how do they call it? That's the perception that security officials cannot go. Yeah, cannot go into Jinek and then arrest people. But I'm glad that your officers are going around, including Jinek,
that was not. I want to make this point very clear. That was not only dealing. It's law enforcement in this country. This is all within the whole security sector reform, integrating law enforcement and making we work as a team to curb crime. So when we went to Jinak, we didn't go there as a single entity. In fact, for the most part, other services even did a better job, perhaps more than us, in terms of logistics, in terms of men and women. Everybody was there. And we even before that, we did some community engagement. After that, we did some. And even now, we want to do more community engagement. And we also understand that we know this thing is, I have not seen any document, but we are aware that government is very much concerned about alternative livelihoods in Jinak and other communities that have been perhaps living on illicit substances. And I know there are government entities responsible for that. And we also understand that engagement is at a very advanced stage for the people of Jinak and the communities around to be supported, to depend on other source of livelihood other than illicit substances. Because if they do, the rule is flat for every Gambian. You cannot do it, you cannot just do it. It doesn't matter where you come
regardless of where you are and who you are.
Yeah, because if you say you cannot go to a particular place, then you have no right also to go and destroy another plantation in another part of the country. Then you have been biased.
Absolutely. DG, the conversation is interesting, and I'm happy that you are open about these drug issues, because this is very rare. For the first time, having the Director General of the nation's drug law enforcement talking to me one-on-one about the fight on drugs in the country. DG, you have spoken about improved interdiction, faster case processing, closer collaboration with the police, Gambia Revenue Authority, border agencies like the immigration, and international partners like Interpol, and where have this partnership delivered the biggest result, and where are the remaining gaps, if there is any?
From the domestic front, I've said it, but I can emphasize in very strong terms that DILIC doesn't work in isolation. We don't the all saying we don't work in we work with there are many security entities in this country. Our jobs do not overlap, they complement each other. And we have a situation where in terms of our co-mandate of our intellectual levels are enhanced by other services. If you go to the police, for example, our big brother, we are the grandchildren of the police. We are from the police. police, and
Yeah,
they know
yeah,
that
yeah.
perhaps more than us, always support us when we have joint operations. We go with them, they lead us, they have big capacity in that, they have big capacity in backup when we have operations that we think our men and women could be endangered. The police are just at a call. They activate their support. They always with us. The army, when we went to Jinak, for example, the army was there with their trucks. When we make large interdiction like plantation farms, the army sent us trucks. Immigration at the border posts, they have experts in border control. They help us with intelligence of passengers who move in and out. And we work a lot. SIS the same. SIS, we know they work on information. They are super supportive. So domestically, we get all the support we need from other services. So, and there's no way we could have succeed where we are without them. Then if you look at the sub-region also, we work with other drug agencies like the OCRETIS, the Senegalese drug agency. We work with the Judicial Police of Guinea-Bissau. They call it the Judicial Police. That's our equivalent in Bissau. We work with international organizations like UNODC, the National Crime Agency, DEA, the United States DEA. The DEA is very supportive in capacity building. They give us a lot of training on different facets of drug law enforcement. So basically, all these things combined to give us the support we need to be able to fulfill our mandate.
Absolutely. DG, resource constraint, personal equipment, forensic capacity, presence in remote border areas, a constant challenge for you, any drug agency. How adequately resourced is your agency today, and what additional tools or legal powers make the biggest difference? Because when you look at other drug agencies in the sub-region, they are well resourced. Like, they are even armed. Like the US, you have the DA agents who are armed, but in the Gambia, your agents are not, they don't carry weapons. You have made mention that you normally request backup from the army or the police when there is a major interdiction or a major raid. Is there any plans to well resource your agency to confront this global challenge of fighting drugs in the Gambia?
Yes, you are right. For the most part, Dilik's work is operational, and we need logistics related to vehicular issues. And I don't think there's any agency in the world that will tell you we have enough equipment, go, we are okay. So Dilik is equally like that. We are doing as much as possible working with government. This government, I can say, in very strong stamp, is very much concerned about drug supportive to us by way of trying to meet most of our requests related to logistical issues, vehicles and motorcycles, because we need those badly. And thanks to that support, in my 2 years in office, in the last 13 months, we have worked with government to get us enough vehicles. Not enough, rather, I wouldn't say enough, quite a substantial number of vehicles. I can quote 10, for example. If you look at our size, if you have 10 pickups in 11 months, for us, we call that a success in terms of support from government. But there's no way we don't need more. We need logistics related to motor bicycle and the issue of arms. Yes, I talked to you about the new drug control amendment bill we submitted for enactment. We have included an arm wing in that amendment proposal, so that we can have an arm wing. We do know that the police are excellent in supporting and the army, but we know they are also expanding. Issues related to police in the sub-region. The police are also expanding. If we have an arm wing, we will still need them, but there will be instances where we can go solo without that arm wing. It's not the whole of the agency. It's just a separate entity that we can arm, and they can go on with us with operations. If we think we still need more backup, the police and the army will be there. So we need other logistics, but we are working with our ministry, the Ministry of Interior. They are aware of most of these issues, and they're working with our principals in the country to make sure that we get some of this equipment, because they are aware if we don't have all this logistics, we will struggle in curbing both abuse and trafficking.
Did you talk about the new revised or amended Drug Law Enforcement Act? Because Act of Parliament gave you power to conduct search, to prosecute drug offenses. What is new in this amended new drug law that your agency
Let me
submitted?
make it clear. Yeah. It's a proposal. It has not yet been. It has not even got. It has not got to Parliament. It's a proposal
Okay,
we sent to our ministry. We sent a
okay.
proposal to
So
amend the
it's
current
you
document.
guys are reviewing it. Okay, okay.
We have already review it. We propose, but that's where we stop at the proposal. The rest is between our pals and the Minister of Justice and the National Assembly and Cabinet. But we do hope.
How soon can we
Some,
expect that to be in the parliament? Because drug issues is it's a top priority for Gambians, because this is something that has consumed a lot of and destroy life of a lot of young people. So how soon can we see a new updated amended drug law act?
Yeah, it's difficult to pinpoint a date there because we are not in control.
Okay.
What we did is sat here as a team. We invited stakeholders, including our parent ministry, who helped us spearhead this, and we submitted to the parent minister, and it went to the right authorities, Ministry of Justice.
Okay.
But then we do know it has to go to the National Assembly. We don't know when it will go there. But what we know is that the National Assembly Select Committee on Security and Defense are very much concerned about this amendment because they know some of our challenges. They will not hesitate to endorse some of. I'm not saying everything, but makers, they know this thing better than me. But they will look at. They also know our challenges. We do know that issues related to an arm wing. Most people will endorse it. Issues related to alternative to incarceration. Instead of sending young people to Mile 2 and Joshua, if you have alternative way of punishing them and also helping them rehabilitate their life. These are some of the suggestions we make in the new amendment bill, because drug issues keep evolving. And even in the next 10 years or so, what we are doing now, perhaps the people who come can see issues that we did not capture now, and they want to have it in the new dispensation.
Is the new amendment in tandem with international best practice? Because
it is.
you have international partners. You join hand to investigate and, if possible, arrest suspected drug traffickers. Because I said Gambia is a hub for drug trafficking. That didn't go well with you, but that's the reality.
It's not
Gambia.
Gambia, because if we say Gambia, you are trying to single us out in a sub.
No, it's the region. It's the West Africa region. But Gambia and Guinea-Bissau are a transit hub for cocaine to Europe and South America, DJ.
The volumes, I don't want to talk about the other countries, but the volume, because you are not privy to the statistics. That's why when you say the Gambia, I don't try to laugh, because I know what in terms of the figures and the statistics. So I don't disagree with you, because I understand that, and other people have the same feeling. But in terms of the Drug Control Act, we believe it will address some of the issues that we are particularly the issue like the young boy who sit at that corner smoking cannabis, doesn't know what to do, has lost his life. The parents have no hope on him. They think he cannot be anything in his life. We think of them. We think some of them have a future. Our new trajectory is to make sure that these people, that's why I need to talk about this. We are going to have a rehabilitation center for drug treatment.
My next question is looking into that. That's the demand reduction, prevention, and rehabilitation. Like the supply suppression alone will not solve the problem. So what is your agency doing on demand reduction side, prevention in school, community outreach, treatment and rehabilitation pathway, and how effective have these efforts been so far?
Yes, and that's important to highlight here, because most Gambians, including some of our own journalists, no disrespect to them for that, because we work with them here, they think our core mandate is interdiction, arrest, incarcerate, arrest, incarcerate. Created a directorate, have people there to work on advocacy, to work with families, to work with communities, to work with schools, to work with VDC, village development committees, to work with youth groups, women group CAFOs. even as I speak to you, there's a program taking place. We have sent 2 of our officers to go and work with the youth week. So what we do in demand reduction basically is the more people are educated, the more the demand is reduced. That's why we call it demand reduction, drug demand reduction. We want to work with. We have created 2-3 years ago, before I came, they created here drug-free clubs in schools, where schools, many years ago, when we engage schools, we'll just go to the assembly, morning assembly, which is about 1 hour or 30 minutes, and they allow us to speak for 5 minutes. Now we have a drug-free club in some of the schools where we can go and engage many students for a longer period. So basically, is to educate people about the dangers of drug. Then the second part of our DDR is what we call victim support, where we want to families and families, neighbors, colleagues, everybody to understand not everybody who deals in drugs is a bad guy. Some of them are low into drugs. Some of them are trapped in it. So most of the young ones are victims. Actually, they need support, and that's why a few years ago my predecessor engaged ECOWAS to get us a rehab center, because as I speak to you, there's no drug treatment and rehabilitation center in this country. And thank God that was when I came, I made a follow up to that with ECOWAS, and now most probably by early next year we are going to have the first drug treatment and rehabilitation center, and that is perhaps going to be a little of a game changer, where we will work with the Minister of Health. They have a lot of expertise on mental health. We'll work with other stakeholders in this country, youth groups, advocacy groups. We have a lot of youths who are working on substance abuse. And of course, we also have a whole directorate here that have people who have got training in what we call the universal treatment curriculum, where they got some expertise how to manage victims of drugs and rehabilitate their life and work with them. We will also work with skill centers, where some of them we will be a liaison between them and some of these skill centers, where they can drop the drops and pick a tool and do something for themselves. So that's the new emphasis we want to have, if possible.
Absolutely. DG, we are almost at the tail end of this interesting conversation, but I have some few more questions to ask you. Critics sometimes argue that the high seizure and arrest numbers can create the impression of activities without necessarily dismantling the most powerful network or reducing availability on the streets. How do you measure real success beyond the data?
No, real success is between data and feedback, because our data shows our interdiction levels, our prosecution level, and also feedback from members of the communities, and also prevalence. Prevalence itself is a success story. We want to make sure that prevalent abuse in our street, which you mentioned, which I cannot disagree, because I have a situation where even as DG, I sometimes see it, but then it is not as scary as the trace it. Also, that's the part I want us to highlight as well. And that's when I see it is not been highlighted. The success stories, not only law enforcement generally do in this country, because we do a lot in common here. We know there are some hotspots in this country that perhaps we can do even more, and we want to do even more. And that's why we are calling for support. We're calling for community support where we can succeed, because we do know we cannot succeed alone. We know if you don't work with communities, if you don't get information, if you don't have resources from government, which I told you in the last 12, 13 months, for example, they've availed us 10 pickups. So the resources are coming, thanks to the efforts that we are also doing between our ministry and government, with resources, with support from the members of the community. We think we will not make this country 100% drug-free. That will be utopian. It's not possible.
DG, some critics also believe that government is complicit in this drug issue. How committed is the government of the day in terms of fighting drug and drug trafficking in the country?
For what I have, particularly in the last 2 years, I think that's not true. Government is not complicit. If government was complicit, perhaps I would not get the support I'm getting from government. My predecessor, he did excellent job here. But I cannot see any time where he was able to get 10 vehicles in 12 months. I'm not saying the government was not doing well then. I'm just trying to show to you how well government is doing in terms of for supporting DILIC, because we asked for vehicular logistics, they provided. We ask for capacity building, they provide. And on our own part, we have to respond. We are not saying government is giving everything. I would also lie. There's nowhere even in the any drug agency gets everything they need from government. Even in the United States, they need something perhaps from government. That they are getting, some they are not getting. Because I also work with other drug agencies across the world. I know some of their issues. I'm not saying they are okay, but there's no drug agent that tells you my government has provided everything that I need. I don't know of any. Maybe there's one, perhaps.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, looking at the wider West African and Sahel context, how vulnerable is the Gambia to becoming a more significant hub if regional instability or shift in trafficking route intensify?
You mean how?
No, I'm asking, looking at the wider West Africa and the Sahel, a more significant hub. Gambia is becoming. How vulnerable is the Gambia to becoming a more significant hub if regional instability or shift in trafficking routes intensify? Because when you look at West Africa and the Sahel, there is instability in Mali, in Burkina Faso, and then, so sometimes traffickers will shift their route. If they do,
yes, exactly.
if they shift their route, in trafficking intensify, how prepared is Gambia in terms of confronting this?
Yeah, I know the Gambia, of course, in the sub-region, because I don't want, I'm not a fan of pointing as if the situation is a Gambian phenomenon. That's the.
But we are talking about Gambian context here. We might talk about regional context because we are not an island.
You are talking about, the context you are talking about is real. You are right, it's real. The sub-region is being threatened by the instability in the Sahel. In fact, of recent, we've made some ecstasy seizures that have their pointers in the Sahel.
Yeah.
And if the Sahel is destabilized, perhaps our sub-region could also be a problem. It could be spell some challenges in our sub-region. So yes, instability in the Sahel could be a recipe for struggle in the Gambia and in the sub-region, because you see drug barons, drug dealers across the world, they don't want states to collapse. They want instability. They thrive on instability. So if there's instability in the Sahel, yes, you are right, the sub-region, including the Gambia, will struggle. And that's why as an agency and as law enforcement within our own security sector review here, we are all assessing what is happening in the Sahel. And we know we have intelligence agencies in the sub-region, including in the Gambia, that are making those assessments and feeding all the agencies like us to be alert, to be conscious of the threats that may emerge if this instability continues in the Sahel, because we are just a couple of thousands of kilometers down the Sahel. So moving down south with large volumes of drugs to the southern states of here, Gambia, Guinea, Senegal, in the southern, including us, we will struggle. But we hope there is peace in the Sahel. That's what we are praying, so that
Absolutely.
what we are trying to foresee doesn't come up.
Okay. DG, in terms of making your agency the best security force in the country, you need capacity. And recently, we noticed that most of your officers going to university, some are university graduates, but concerns have been raised that, most of the graduates there do not receive promotion as they supposed to. And then there is also issue of allowances. Many complain that what their counterparts are receiving in other sister security forces with their degrees like bachelor's and masters, that's not applicable at your agency. What efforts are you doing to encourage graduates, because the more graduates you have, the better in terms of professionally handling your executing your job. Do you have plans to recruit more graduates and give them incentive to at least have a success in your fight against a drug?
Yeah, we do. We place a high premium on education and training here at DILIC, and I also know, I even know some law enforcement where we have so many. Not only they have so many people with graduate degrees and so forth.
Yeah.
We value it here a lot, but we have to understand DILIC. If we have situations where we are, for example, we are looking for narcotic officers, for example, somebody we can recruit and send to Yerobawa, for example, or somebody we can recruit and send to Brikama or to Abuko station. And we know this person, we have a starting salary for that person, for example. Starting salary. And that starting salary mainly attracts somebody who just completed grade 12 with a good credits in grade 12. I'm giving a scenario. Then you have somebody who was a teacher like me, or who is working in another place, who has his degree in agriculture, in education. And he comes and say, I need a job at DILIC. And we tell him, DILIC is not like other institutions that have an accounts directorate with 20 accountants, or the directorate with 15 or 20. You see what I mean? We have a procurement 20. No, those units, we have 1 or 2 people. Most of our staff are narcotic officers on the streets. So we tell this gentleman, this is what is available. And because he wants to change job, he said, I will take it. And he comes he takes the job that should have ideally that comments that a grade 12, I'm not saying every grade 12, that is meant for a grade 12 candidate. And the grade 12 candidate who just finished from school is happy with the job, goes to the station, goes to the field. And then the graduate comes and says, I'm a graduate, I cannot do this. But we explain that is what is available. Sometimes we explain this to some people, that this because we are law enforcement. There are ranks you go through. We don't have, if we don't have a vacancy for a particular rank, we have a vacancy for a junior rank. And you say you still want to change job. And you are qualified. If you are qualified, we cannot say no. We tell you this one is available. You take 2 minutes down, 3 months down the line, you start say graduate allowance. I have a master's degree. We say no. The position you opted for, we have already told you, is a first-class position.
So DG, is promotion at DILIC based on experience or merit? Because most of these graduates said, they are being headed by people who are not even graduates.
No, that's not true. It's on both. You see, law enforcement is different. It's different. I was in the academia. I know the difference. Yeah, I know the difference. Here, in law enforcement, you have somebody here who has worked for example, 15 years and rose through the ranks. You see what I mean? Rose through the ranks from first class, second class, corporal, sub-inspector, inspector, ASP, deputy commissioner. Then if you Seni Marina comes from the university from University of Armitage High School with a bachelor's degree. Yeah. So if there's no vacancy that commensurate with your degree, there are people who have come here with degree and we place them high because there's a vacancy that, for example, when I first moved here myself, I came with a degree, but they didn't start me somewhere because there's a vacancy to where I was placed in 2010. We even have graduates here who came here. There's a vacancy to where their degree is commensurate. But for some of our staff, some of our people in this country, perhaps for what some people want to change job, they can take any junior position just because they want to come out of that agric field or that classroom. And the vacancy doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is a junior rank. And if you have the junior rank, promotion doesn't come every day or every year. It's not like the other service or like other agencies. It's not like this year you move, next year you move. Apart from the government incremental rate, our promotions don't come handy every day or every month. So when they come, we look at we look at both. We look at education and we look at experience. So if you only have your bachelor's degree with, for example, with 1 year experience, somebody has a diploma with 15 years experience, you cannot bully him with your bachelor's degree. And we have a situation where sometimes graduates, no disrespect, tend to bully people with experience. And I don't think that's fair. Of course, we encourage, even here, we send, go to our prosecution unit. Half of them have a bachelor's degree, all paid for by this agency. So there's no way we can shy away from improving capacity, improving standard, raising the bar by way of educating our staff. So we encourage it and we'll promote based on both experience and paper qualification.
Absolutely.
It must be through an appraisal system that the staff understand and appreciates.
Okay, DJ, thank you very much. The topic of discussion here is Gambia's drug war. Are we winning, losing, or just surviving? After nearly 2 years in the role, where do you place the country on that spectrum? And what would winning realistically look like over the next 3 to 5 years?
And I look at those three parameters, I'll say we were winning big time for that matter. And I understand people's opinion, but I told you right at the beginning, opinions, no matter how strong they are, you cannot. They are opinions. They are not facts. So and I respect people's opinions, and I also encourage people to contact, like you did, encourage people to contact us. But I think we are winning. If you look at, let's start look at the issue of cannabis, for example.
Yeah.
Before 2014, the penalty for possession of cannabis, and that is possession, anything below 2 kilograms.
Yeah, possession,
possession.
Yeah,
we know we have possession and trafficking. Possession, you have it, likelihood you are using it. Traffic, you have likelihood you are trading it, and it's a larger.
And distributing it.
2014, just to show you how we are winning. Before 2014, if a young man is caught with even 10 grams of cannabis, you know the penalty then? 250,000. Yeah, 10 grams. 10 grams of cannabis. Only 10 grams.
Yeah.
Before 2014, the penalty was $250,000. Or 5 years in jail. Wow. In 2014, we had an amendment bill. Then I was here. I can remember I was here. Just to show you how we are winning, as opposed to how you think we are not winning.
No, no, I'm just listening. You know,
then the amendment bill was sent. We said 250,000 is too much for a victim to pay.
Absolutely.
That's why our mile 2 was crowded with young people. So an amendment was sent, and it was approved. It went to justice, it went to cabinet. Cabinet saw some sense in it. It went to parliament. They approved it. They reduced the possession to 50,000.
No.
Yeah.
So how many years?
50,000 and 50,000 and 50,000 and 8 months. So and 8 months in jail. If you are between 1 to 10 grams. Before 2014, that was 250,000 and 3 years.
Wow.
So in order to decongest the prison with young people with small quantities, we made an amendment, and it worked. So it's easier for a victim, because these small boys, some of them are victims. They are not perpetrators. They don't bring some of this cannabis across the border. They don't have plantation farms. They are just peer pressure and some other pressures. So now it's easier for somebody to pay 50,000 than 250,000. And now what we did now, I'm just showing how the amendment is, we are winning. And now what we propose now is even better. We are saying if you are caught with 1 to 10 grams, for example, and it's cannabis, we are saying the magistrate should have the option of sending you to KMC, not even mile 2.
Community service?
Community service, yes, community service. So they can send, instead of sending to I'm not saying, I say if the amendment bill goes through.
Yeah, goes through. Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Instead of sending that young 17, 18, 19, 20 to mile 2, go and mix up with hardened criminals for 2 years or 3 years, you can now, at the moment, the magistrate don't have the discretion, because they have to go through the Drug Control Act or the Criminal Procedure Code, the CPC, both of which don't give the magistrate the prerogative to send this young boy to Brikama Area Council for 6 months. If the bill goes through, that discussion will be available to a magistrate. And you could say, because this is so small, because this is a common drug and it's so small, instead of sending you to mile 2, I can send you to KMC for 6 months. And while they're at KMC, they report to our rehab center for counseling and guiding and counseling, and we lace them with apprenticeship. So that's the way forward.
DG, if everything goes as planned, I think that's a very progressive law that will help rehabilitate and bring back a lot of young people back to society. I personally think that law should be able to find its way into the parliament, because that's a very progressive law. Even
and there are many others there. I'm just citing one. There are many others, which for want of time, or maybe I cannot recall all of them. I'm no lawyer. My lawyers would have searched better in that than me. I have a pool of lawyers who know what I'm talking about, perhaps more than me. Maybe they're even scratching their heads. I'm even messing up something here. But they know this better than me. but this is the situation. And the issue of community engagement, these people, because we think that there's more to support than incarceration. That's what we are moving. That is not to say if there's a drug baron or drug, we will still arrest, we will still prosecute, we will still lock off people. But we are more into heading to more support, because that's what young people need in this country. And government is also investing a lot on that, on us to know that trajectory is enhanced, where we see ourselves more as people who engage communities and not people who divide communities just in the name of drugs.
Okay. DG, finally, before I let you go, we agree that this will be an hour-long interview. I noticed that you are still in the office, in your office, because you want to do this interview. So I thank you for sparing your time to talk to my audience all over the world, from Gambia and in the diaspora.
I want to say one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Finally,
before go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Finally, DG Cisse, what message do you have for ordinary Gambians, parents, teachers, and community leaders and young people themselves about their role in this fight?
Yeah, what I can tell them is to understand that law enforcement, and this is not delicate, law enforcement in this country is here for the Gambian people, be it delicate, police, immigration, SIS, Navy, military, fire service, prisons. We are here for them. And as far as delicate is concerned, we know we cannot win. Like you talk about, because in your introduction you talk about a war. We cannot win this war alone. We want to work with communities, but we also want to reiterate in very strong terms that, like they say, you cannot have it both ways. We have a situation where our people, our staff, go on their work. Our staff are also children of parents. They also have mom and dad and wives at home. Mm-hmm. They go to work. What do they have there? In some communities, they get all the support. In some communities, they are brutalized by young people. They get attacked. They get wounded. As I speak to you, a staff of mine is at the hospital. But so the media doesn't carry that. And they need to carry everything they see. Our staff are attacked all over. And you cannot tell us in your community, come and help us from drugs. And we come and you attack us. And that's what is happening in this country. And it's not Gambia. That's also not Gambia. We know that law enforcement general is facing that. So we are saying that the communities that are supporting us, there are many. For the most part, many communities are supported. We want to applaud them. We want to thank them. For those that are not, we are calling on them to work with us. Because if they want to have safer communities, safer homes, they have to work with law enforcement. And we have a situation where our staff go home or come home, go to work, and they go home with very serious wounds. Sometimes they're hospital, sometimes they don't even go home. They come to work, end up at the hospital for 3 days. For what? For enforcing a law that they did not enact. They're asked to enforce a law. We know we have some issues. We understand we have some young staff, we have some young people across the world, young law enforcement potentially who have a lot of energy, who can activate reactions that are not within the ambit of the law. And but we address that. We tell our staff, you can
Yeah,
never operate
because
within the ambit of the law.
I remember people normally will accuse your officers that they never present their warrant to search or to make effect arrest. Most of the
They
time
do.
they do it in a very arrogant way, and professionally, if you are to arrest someone or conduct a search, the best standard practice is to show your warrant, either court warrant or your ID, to let people
We have
know I
said
am
that.
from the drug.
Yeah, we have said that for numbers, for many times without numbers, as they call it. If a dealing officer comes to your home without a warrant,
Yeah.
you have an option. You can
To
refuse search.
deny,
Yeah.
to refuse search.
Yes, exactly. They have to show warrant card because we are not like the police who have uniform. Because for the police it's very easy.
Yeah,
For us,
or plain clothes officers,
for them
yeah.
it's easy. And exactly. For with us, you have to show a warrant card to be able to conduct a search. We have said that in every media outlet. We have said that in every sensitization. But we have a situation where we go to families and they protect their young children. They say you cannot enter here, even with a warrant card. I can even send you a picture where somebody, I don't want to mention the town, where our officers went, our officer brandished his warrant card. The man cut it and tear it to pieces. We have the picture here.
Wow.
So we have that's the scenario we have. He cut it and tear it, and he went for a cutlass. And his neighbors told him, no, he said, bandits have come to my home. Somebody recognized one of our staff. He said, no, I know one of them. Incidentally, that was the man whose warrant card he tore into pieces. So it's a situation where, I'm not saying it's a Gambian phenomenon, but it's easy for people to protect their children against law enforcement. And they know this.
Don't you think it's lack of communication or mistrust between your agents and the community they serve? Because a lot of people feel that some of these agents, there is a lot of mistrust,
Exactly, and that's what we are working on. We cannot say no to that. I understand, and that's what we want to build. We want to build our interaction with the communities. We know without them we cannot succeed even. We are aware of that. But we have a situation where some communities are just adamant you cannot enter their home, and they know their son is selling cannabis or is smoking, because these are the same families sometimes that will call us and say, "Kailen jelki, alna kama be no so abe mol batal ne kanya, alna kama." When they go and get stuff, now they cannot manage that young child. They call our PRO. We tell them we have no rehab center. Hopefully by next year we will have a rehab center. We can respond to those kind of things because some of those young people need support, but some families, they wouldn't support. They will seal their family, their young boys, and you cannot enter. We have a situation. We even arrested a woman for saying that we cannot search his son's house, her son's house, and we say no. We have this our warrant card. We have to search. Our mandate, our warrant card gives us the mandate to enter into any premises in this country if we show the warrant card anywhere, and anywhere means there's no exclusion. Anywhere means anywhere.
Even in Jinek.
Okay. Yeah, Jinak. Luckily, there are no Jolas in Jinak, only Sherers. So I can talk about Jinak because there are no Sherers there. So,
anyway,
but you are right. We have to show a warrant card. We have to be professional. We have to be disciplined. And that part, we are dealing with our staff. As we told them, you cannot brutalize a family. You cannot go anywhere and refuse to show your ID. But also, we have told families, times without numbers, if you see them, come and make a formal complaint. Right? Come. Our office is right next to the highway. Everybody here knows our office. Come and make a formal complaint and see if something will not come out of that, because they are not supposed to do that. They are supposed to show their warrant card and search peaceful. And even when they search, they are supposed to search respectable. If they do anything outside that, you are a family man, you are standing there, you are seeing, report the incident. And you can follow up with your reportage. We have said that many times, but it's problematic. So we want to call on people to support us, to support law enforcement, because DILIC works in conjunction with other services. So sometimes these operations, we are together. We want them to support DILIC, support the police, support immigration, all other services, because ultimately, particularly from now to election and after election, we want to make sure that this country is peaceful and calm. We know we cannot. There's no way I as DILIC head can come and say tomorrow there will be no cannabis in the street. I cannot do it. But we want to reduce it to the bare minimum so that we can go to bed and sleep knowing that our neighborhood is safe.
Okay. Going to bed and sleep knowing that our neighborhood is safe from illicit drugs and drug trafficking. That's the Director General of Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Demba Sise, speaking to me live from his office in Banjul. DG, many thanks for sparing your time to join me on this very important conversation. You know, I told you that we're going to have a 1 hour conversation, and here we are, 1 hour 35 minutes, because
I know what to do.
this is
I'll send you back to Armitage.
Yeah, yeah, we are both.
He's
he's senior me in Armitage, but we are both former students of Armitage High School. Director General Demba Sise, many thanks. I appreciate you coming on my show.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's bring us to the end of this. Yeah, thank you, sir. Brought us to the end of this marathon interview with Mr. Sise. We'll take a quick break and then we'll end the show here. Many thanks once again, Mr. Demba Sise, for your time to come to the final take with
Tune
me.
into the final take with MK Mariner every Saturday on the Alcamba Times and experience extensive conversations on a variety of topics, including national and international headlines, breaking issues, and major developments in politics, business, innovation, science, and sports, along with inspiring stories and expert analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the news.